going to talk about some blockbuster trades the Falcons could make before the NFL trade deadline because our video yesterday, and I think you guys might enjoy the behind the scenes for the YouTube side, kind of popped off. It ranked second out of the last 10 videos and was talking about trading for Hunter Renfrow or Carl Lawson. In fact, the only video that did better than that was trading for Justin Fields. So if you guys want more trade content before the trade deadline, like the video. I want to give the people what they want. But before we get into my blockbuster trades, I do have to be a bit of a rain cloud. The Falcons are 4-3. They are first in the NFC South, and they have the easiest remaining schedule based on all their current upcoming opponents' current records. I don't think they're going to make any major moves, right? I think they're in a good spot right now thinking our division isn't full of juggernauts. We just beat the second best team in the division, the Bucks, on the road, and we have an FCS schedule laying out in front of us. So they don't really feel like they're in a spot where they have to go make some big dramatic move and forfeit future draft picks to stay in the race for this year. They probably like where they are at right now, but that doesn't mean they can't make some lower level moves, or it doesn't mean they can't surprise people and make some big blockbuster moves because, well, I don't bat 1,000 for all my takes. So with that being said, let's get into my first blockbuster trade idea, and that is Danielle Hunter, the Minnesota Vikings edge rusher, coming down to ATL. So Danielle Hunter, currently in the conversation for NFL Defensive Player of the Year, leads the league with 9 sacks. He was awesome on Monday Night Football against the 49ers, a huge part of that win for them. And the Vikings, currently at 3-4, maybe sellers, maybe with that win over the 49ers, they feel like they can start to rattle off some wins and overcome the Detroit Lions in the NFC North. But they play at Green Bay, not an easy place for any team to go play, especially a rival this upcoming Sunday. And if they were to drop that game, maybe at 3-5, they rethink things and they go, well, with 3-5, Danielle Hunter's on the last year of his contract. Maybe it's a good opportunity to get a good pick for him if we plan on letting him walk in free agency after the year is over, and we don't think we're going to go on a big run. Like, this would be his highest value and our last chance to get something for a guy we plan on letting walk in free agency in March. Minnesota, though, will want a first-rounder. They are not dying to trade for Danielle Hunter. If they trade Danielle Hunter, it's because they get an offer they can't refuse. And a first-rounder for a 30-plus-year-old edge rusher on the last year of his contract is a pretty tough offer to turn down for a ball club that maybe is 3-5 after this Sunday. However, I don't think Atlanta should be parting ways with a first-round pick for a one-year rental kind of guy. If you want to go trade for a younger edge rusher, an up-and-coming guy that has some more years on his contract that you could see extending, I can make peace with that. But trading a first-rounder for a one-year rental, that's just too dicey for a team, to be honest, has shown some vulnerabilities this year and is exactly what their record is, 4-3. More good than bad, but there's still enough bad that makes me go, I don't know if they're Danielle Hunter away from lifting the Lombardi. That may not be a good time to invest a first-rounder in a one-year rental. But let me know, would you trade a first-round pick for Danielle Hunter? Is he worthy of giving up that type of draft capital? Yes or no in the comment section. It is the pinned comment, by the way, so if YouTube comes on by with an ad break, scroll on down and let me know. Moving on to my second and third trade targets. They both come from our nation's capital, Chase Young and Montez Sweat. So a pair of edge rushers, a pair of first-round pick by Washington that could be attainable. So let's look at their 2023 numbers because Chase Young is having a major bounce-back year after missing a lot of time following his rookie season when he tore his ACL in year 2 and missed a lot of year 3 recovering still. But Montez Sweat is right there with him. He might not have the big flashy name because he wasn't the second overall pick. He wasn't the NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year. But he goes, pound for pound with Chase Young in a lot of ways. Now, when you look at their numbers from last season, this is sort of the issue with Chase Young, right? A year back from his ACL injury, and he only played 3 games. There was some conversations in D.C. about his rehab or kind of a lack of effort put into the rehab and some character concerns, and they did not pick up his 5th-year option. That, to me, says a lot. A 5th-year option is usually worthy of a guy going, if you're right down the middle onto whether or not he is worth it, because if you don't pick it up and he balls out, it's going to cost you way more to bring him back. So usually teams go, if it's a 50-50 ball, we might as well pick it up just in case. I think Chase Young, for all my Braves fans watching right now, is like Dansby Swanson. He's the high ceiling caliber player. He can make the big splashy plays, but unfortunately, if it's not there, it can be a long fall down to earth. Whereas Montez Sweat is kind of like Nick Markakis from a few seasons ago, right? Safe play. He's going to get you doubles. He's going to get on base, but he's not going to be like a Chase Young in my eyes, right? He's not going to be a guy that's going to be in contention for winning NFL Defensive Player of the Year awards, sack leading type of players. And that's perfectly fine, but there is something enticing about guys like Dansby Swanson or Chase Young when they're at their A game. So if I had to pick one, I initially even had Montez Sweat because I wanted the safe route, but I don't know if I could pass on Chase Young. Like, I remember what he did in Columbus for the Buckeyes, what he did his rookie season for the Commanders. And what he's doing this year is showing me a lot of potential that he still has that player in him. So I'm not going to let an ACL injury over 2 seasons derail my thoughts on trading for what could be an extremely talented and special player. And so if you could get that type of talent, a guy that goes second overall for maybe a second round pick, I'm sure Washington would want a first, but if they are planning to move on from after the year, maybe they're happy to take a second and run. I'd be hard pressed to say no. Now, what I'm definitely not going to say no to is going over to Prize Picks, and that is the sponsor for today's show. Prize Picks is a daily fantasy sports app where all you have to do is pick more or less for 2 to 6 player stat projections, and you can win up to 25 times your money on any entry. Prize Picks is super simple and user-friendly. I spend a few minutes on the app every Sunday, Thursday, and Monday morning, any day that's got a football being played pretty much. So if you're in the Oval Office, you're on your way to the game, the bar, or wherever to watch some Falcons football, well, make sure you hop on Prize Picks. I've got the more on C.J. Stroud this week against the Carolina Panthers' awful defense at 239.5 passing yards. Same goes for Trevor Lawrence. I think he's going to carve up this upcoming week's opponent. Who are they playing? The Pittsburgh Steelers, thank you. Yeah, they suck. And I'll take the more on Breece Hall, by the way, against the Giants at 66.5. Dalvin Cook is being phased out. Way more Breece Hall coming your way soon. So go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. The link for that is in the comments and description of today's video. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy. Moving on to my 4th blockbuster trade target. What about a wide receiver? Enough with edge rushers. How about Jerry Jeudy from Denver? So the Broncos are 2-5. They are going to be in a complete fire sale mode because they play, guess who? Bueller, anyone? The Kansas City Chiefs this Sunday. They've never beaten Patrick Mahomes, so they're likely going to be 2-6. Actually, I'll just say it right now. They are going to be 2-6 after this Sunday, and every single player on that roster that has any sort of trade interest will be available for phone calls, maybe outside of Pat Surtain. And Jeudy's 5th-year option has already been picked up for 2024. So unlike some of the guys we were just talking about, like Danielle Hunter, for example, if you do trade for Jeudy, you've already got him under contract for the rest of this year and next year at $12.9 million. And Drake London is the only active wide receiver on this roster right now who is under contract next year. So if you want to start getting some continuity down for the wide receiver position, maybe you take a swing at a guy like Jeudy who's got a contract already built in for 2024. Now, the numbers have not been there for the former first rounder. Unfortunately, he missed some time early in his career, battling kind of an ankle injury at one point, like good rookie year, 856 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a bad offense. And then 2021 rolled around, and a high ankle sprain took him out for a lot of the year. When he returned, he really wasn't even close to 100%. It was obvious. And then last year, he puts out his best numbers. A lot of it came down the stretch, but he only got to 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns. However, this year, the guy who ended on a high note last year is MIA. So maybe Jerry Jeudy could be available for a lot cheaper, and maybe a change of scenery and a better offense altogether like Atlanta has could benefit Jerry Jeudy a lot. If you think Jeudy is a special player that can be snagged for a second rounder, which would be a steal given that he went in the first and he's got that first round potential in my eyes, then go for it, right? If it all costs a second or third and you think he's got first round talent, then that makes it a no-brainer in my opinion. However, I don't think Jeudy is that special. I've seen him play a lot, and he's definitely a good wide receiver. He's not a bust. He's not going to be out of the league in a few years or anything like that. But I don't think he is worthy of a second-round pick and $13 million price tag for next year. I just don't think he commands that type of market. And I've seen what he's done, and I've looked at the numbers and what he's produced. And to me, it's just not worth what you'd have to give up to get him. But if you think he is that type of elite player like he was in Alabama, and all it cost you is a second or third, that might be tough to pass on if you think he's got that type of potential. All right, fifth and final trade target. What about another wide receiver? We're talking blockbuster, so we had to swing for the fences. How about Tee Higgins from the Cincinnati Bengals, who are 3-3? Maybe they could be sellers at the deadline after this week's game if they drop another game and fall to 3-4. Higgins, who is in the last year of his rookie contract, is not expected to get an extension. Remember, Cincinnati is not they don't have an Arthur Blank. Like, they don't have a vault with endless cash. They are an NFL team whose entire business is the Cincinnati Bengals. They don't have guaranteed dollars set aside to give out to Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and Tee Higgins. So my suspicion is Higgins is walking in free agency because he's going to get a lot more money elsewhere. So if Atlanta kind of wants to jump the gun a little bit, trade for him now, extend him before they get to free agency, maybe that's something they explore because they want to find more receivers for Desmond Ridder as they are sort of entering a pass-happy moment of their offense, averaging nearly 300 passing yards a game over the last 3 weeks. Tee Higgins is a proven player, and unlike Jerry Jeudy, Tee Higgins, in my eyes, is someone I would give up a second or third rounder for because I think he is the real deal. He's got 2 straight years of over 1,000 yards receiving as a second option behind Jamar Chase. Him and Drake London, I think, would put up fantastic numbers. It would take some pressure off London. It would force defenses to not double-team Drake once word gets out that that's where the ball is going to go. 70% of the time, they drop back anyway. So Tee Higgins, I think, is a very special player, very talented, worthy of a second-round pick. Obviously a third-rounder, but I don't think Cincinnati would do it for anything less than a second. They probably want a first. However, teams always ask for more and then end up settling for a little bit less. So if you could get Higgins for a second, lock him up, give him an extension, and have an offense moving forward of Drake London, Tee Higgins, Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson, whoever's playing quarterback is going to have a lot of success. So let me know who you think the Falcons should trade for, though. We just went through 5 blockbuster names. If you want to be one of those guys, if there's someone I left off my list that you want Atlanta to trade for, let me know in the comment section below.